afternoon, guys. It's your guy, the trucking guy, coming at you. Wanted to talk to you guys about something that is super important: insurance. So I've get a couple of questions here recently that people are asking me the same question over and over. Insurance. How does it work? What do I do? Who do I go to? What's the best company? What's the best price? What should I be paying? Kind of the same things over and over. So for a new authority, you're going to get beat up. You're going to pay a little higher than everybody else just because you don't have any experience and you're a risk, you're a liability. So when you come on, the average that I see a lot of guys paying are anywhere from $1,300 to $1,500 a month. Now, if you get better than that, great. If you're paying more than that, that sucks. It's based on your MVR. It's based on the value of your equipment. It's based on a number of factors that go into whatever insurance algorithm that they say, this guy's this much of a risk, this guy's this much of a risk. So one thing to know is that it's basically financed over 10 months. There's a few reasons why insurance companies do that. They think maybe you need to come up with the down payment for the next insurance cycle. They think that, depending on what time of the year you start, that you need that break. Their down payment pays for it. In the beginning, there's a million different reasons, but that's what I basically kind of chummed it up to. So, one of the big things with insurance, man, that a lot of people don't know, and I learned a lot of this the hard way as well, is there's a lot of unscrupulous people in the world. So, just because you have insurance, you don't always necessarily want to make a claim, because what can happen is if you make a claim, say it's a $2,000 claim, okay, and you turn it over to your insurance. Forklift driver damaged, it's not even your fault. Whatever the scenario is, maybe you did damage it, maybe you tightened something down too tight, chained it down too tight, scratched it, whatever it is, right? If it's not your fault, you protect yourself by taking pictures on the front end and on the back end. That's the biggest preventative to stop from making a claim. They don't even need your help. They don't need your information. They already have your insurance information when you book the load. So they just go straight to the insurance company and make the claim. Well, you have to protect yourself. So the way that you protect yourself is by making sure that you have those pictures, especially if you're doing any kind of tarp freight on a flatbed, whatever, having the pictures to ensure that the commodity was the condition that you picked it up in the same condition that you delivered it. So it's just important that you make sure you take multiple pictures up close, try to get the company facility in the background that you're picking up from at the shipper and at the receiver when you're dropping it off. That way, if they say, hey, this dent, whatever, you can say, nope, forklift guy on the shipping side did that. Not my problem, not my fault, whatever. Or if you did damage it, you don't necessarily want to make a claim if it's something that you can pay. Because if you make a claim, most insurance companies go off of your loss runs. So when you go to renew next year, in your first year you did have a claim, they're going to basically use that against you. So you're going to have to pay a higher premium next year. Or you may not even get insured. Or depending on how large the claim is, and you want to be very careful not to have one, and again, take pictures so that somebody doesn't try to claim on your insurance something that they had set up, or they said, let's get this thing shipped. If the guy's not competent, we'll just claim it against his insurance. We'll get, compensated for it and move on. And it could be, anything, a coil that's damaged or got wet, and it's $15,000, or whatever the commodity is, it's damaged, and they want to just claim it. They have no intention of repairing that product or replacing it. They just want to get the insurance money, and it's a scam. So you have to protect yourself with pictures. But if you have a claim, say it's $2,000, you should just pay that out of pocket. Let me tell you why. If you don't pay it out of pocket and you claim it on the insurance, you're going to wind up paying more next year. Because if they see that you had a claim in your first year or your first 90 days or whatever, the scenario is you're going to end up paying for it more next year, because they're going to say, hey, you had a claim, how much was it, what was it about, on your loss runs. When you get to a fleet size, it's calculated a little bit different, okay? We had a couple of claims one of our first year on things that were not our fault, and some things that were driver's fault, that were just, simple things like tightening something down too much and it broke whatever it was. We've had two claims that were not our fault that we disputed. They were still on there, and one of them our insurance company paid out without even trying to dispute it, and it wasn't our fault. We had proof and pictures to say that it wasn't, but that kind of stuff happens. So We ended up getting with a new company, but on the fleet side, what I'm getting at is they look at your loss runs and they want your percentage of loss runs compared to the size that you are and the revenue that you do yearly to be a certain amount. I think it's usually less than 13%. So if it's less than 13% and you're doing, say, $1 million annually or whatever, then you're probably going to be okay. But if you're a small one mom and pop shop, like I've been in myself, over the years where I was driving the truck was mine, and you have somebody that tries to make a claim against you and maybe it's not your fault or whatever, you're going to end up in a situation where next year you're going to have trouble getting insured. There's going to be a lot of people that won't insure you. You also risk getting dropped by the insurance company that you have currently and going out of business, because if nobody else will insure you, or you can't afford the insurance because it just doesn't make logical business sense to pay $2,500 a month or whatever, then you can't make a profit doing that, or whatever the reasoning is, then you won't be able to continue. And if your company says, hey, I'm going to drop you, you're too much of a liability, which we did have happen to us. We were with a company. We're with a great company now, but we were with a company when we started up, and they were a high-risk company because when you start out, companies like Progressive and different companies won't take on new carriers, new authorities. So you have to go with somebody that's going to take you, and they're usually going to charge more. If you come in with experience, say you've had a CDL for 20 years and you've worked with a bunch of conglomerates, you're a less liability. Your CDL's older, it's aged, you're less of a risk, so you're going to end up getting a better premium than, say, somebody who just got their CDL and opened up their authority, or has had their CDL for 6 months or whatever, whatever the reasoning is. So it's very important when thinking about insurance, talking about insurance, shopping for insurance, or even dealing with claims, that you protect yourself, A, and B, if the claim is small enough, if it is your fault, say you backed into a little lady's bumper, you're better off paying for that bumper and getting it fixed versus going the long way and, ending up in a situation where you're out of business or you can't get insurance or whatever the reason is. So one situation that I was in that might help you guys, just to show you kind of an example or an illustration of how unscrupulous people can be, is I picked up a coil. Okay, the coil was damaged. It's just an example here. But the coil was damaged. The coil was wet. It was old. It looked like it had been in the back of their facility for, 20 years. This thing was old. Somebody didn't want it. And it had looked like somebody had tried to ship it before. Maybe the chains beat it up really bad. The forklift guy damaged it, whatever. It had pretty been dinged up. I said, man, this doesn't look right. It's moist, the paper, the packaging. I said, I better take a lot of pictures of this. So I did. I took a ton of pictures, video all the way around it, tarped it, took it where it was supposed to be. Of course, on the other end, hold up. They said, no, you got this thing wet, you've damaged it, chains messed it up. We're not paying for this. We're going to claim this. It's a stainless coil as well. So it was, probably, I think they said it was valued at $25,000 or something. I believe that they had intentionally bought that knowing that it was damaged. In fact, the broker later told me that it was. They bought it used, they got a discount on it because it was pretty beat up. So they thought, man, we'll buy this coil. Whoever brings it to us, we'll say that they damaged it. We'll claim it on insurance. We'll get the coil plus that, or whatever the situation is. We'll get our, our valuation back and try to maybe make some money on it, whatever. And, they might have done that. They might have been behind on the ball as a, decent sized company. Or they could have just noticed that it was damaged and, the person who bought it didn't relay that information to management or whatever the situation is. But basically, they were trying to pin that against me, So I showed them my pictures, my videos. They still weren't buying it. They said, nope, this ain't going to work. This ain't going to fly. We're claiming on the insurance. So I ended up having to turn that over to the insurance company. The insurance company then had to dispute it and say, nope, we're not paying it. The guy has pictures where he picked it up. It was all messed up. You guys bought it that way. The broker said they agreed to buy it that way, etc. So it's one of those things that situation, had I not taken pictures, had I not taken video, I would have been completely out of control there. I would have had no means to protect myself, no means to produce evidence that I didn't damage it, and it would have been he said, she said kind of thing. And what are you going to do? The insurance company's going to pay out. They're going to drop you or come after you, or they're just going to pay it, and you're going to have to keep paying premiums, or they're going to raise your premium. Or next year when you go to re-up, they're not going to want to, they're not going to want to keep you because you're a liability because it was a huge claim. That claim, $25,000, was more than you're going to pay in that 1 year in insurance premiums. So you have to look out for that kind of stuff, guys. You have to take those pictures religiously. You just have to, in that situation, the insurance company denied it, so they wouldn't pay it. We didn't end up having to have an issue there. It was with a broker that I had a decent relationship with, so we were able to continue working for them. They knew it wasn't my fault. But those types of things happen every day. I would say in the size of fleet that we are, we have something like that or some silly claim happen once every 2 weeks, maybe once every 3 weeks. There's somebody that tries to say that one of my guys damaged something or whatever the situation is. Now, our policy is everybody takes pictures. 10 pictures of the load on the pickup and the delivery side. So luckily, we've been a year and a half now, knock on wood, with no claims, completely claim-free, because they produce the pictures. My guys, they don't get paid until they produce the pictures on every load. So we produce the pictures. We say, hey, nope, this is the way it was picked up. This is the way it was dropped off. I have a great team, a bunch of really good guys. We haven't had any issues. So just something to keep in mind. If you're a fleet side, make your guys take pictures. Put some kind of program in place that you're able to protect yourself. If you've gotten to a fleet side, more than likely you're probably already there, with the picture game. But if not, if you're just one guy in a truck, I was talking to a guy last night. He said, man, I never even thought of that. I never even thought that was a thing. New Authority just started up about 10 days ago, and he had no idea. He's been driving, drive-in or reefer for whatever, the longest time. A lot of that, you don't really need it, but with flatbed, you do. Those are a lot of the drive-in and stuff you guys know that are doing it. It's tagged, so it's their responsibility. Once they tag it, it's good still to take pictures if you can for shift and stuff like that, but maybe they didn't stack it right or whatever the reasoning is. But it's just protection. You got to have that protection because the insurance, scams and fraud happens every day. That's why places like Florida and different areas of the country that have a higher fraud rate, they're almost impossible to get insurance for a trucking company because it's too much of a liability for them to insure you. You're too much of a risk. So going into it knowing these things is definitely a bonus. Just, keep your eyes open, put programs in place. Do everything you can to keep claims from happening. Do a good job for people. And then just be careful out there because things happen. People come out of nowhere. Stuff happens, man. So just be careful. Do everything you can. Try to get the insurance the best cost you can. And the longer you stick with it, for instance, we've had situations, where the second year our insurance was a little bit cheaper. Third year it was a little bit better. Fourth year it was a little bit better. So the longer you stick with it with less problems, less claims, less issues, you can actually get a better rate. You can get better insurance companies, somebody that's going to help you because you want your insurance company to be on your team. You don't want them to be against you, just charging you a bunch of money, not answering the phone, not helping you, not doing what you need them to do. If you're going to run a successful business, you need them to be on your team. You need them to answer the phone at 2 o'clock in the morning if something happens. You need them to be there for whatever the reason is and be on your side, protecting your interest in your business and not just paying out claims because it's easy to do so and coming after you, or they don't want to dispute it or whatever the reason is. So protect yourself, get with a good insurance company, and use that insurance company to your advantage. Try to grow your business. Best of luck to you. If you guys need anything, feel free to reach out to me, message me, text me, call me. Hashtag the trucking guy, man. You guys follow me, click like, share. I appreciate it. God bless. Y'all have a great day.